All it takes is one person to make a commendable and remarkable difference. Every sentence that we end with, I can achieve and I will achieve, first starts with I believe. A deep breath follows and then the can-do attitude comes on board. Yesterday, we established on Weekend Deal as we set the tone for our conversation, which is the total child and the place of nurturing, that children are like wet cement. Whatever you pour on them, it sticks. Some say that every encounter you have with a child is like a divine appointment. Whether the child is your biological child or not, you have a responsibility to make a positive impact, especially if you are a responsible and a responsive adult. In our background feature, as Francis tackles these and other issues with Professor Ojo, who is of the Department of History and Dramatic Studies of the University of Abuja. He emphasizes the need for reading culture so that we can raise independent and responsible children. Francis will take it from here.
Child nurturing plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of any society, and Nigeria is no exception. In an attempt to make ends meet, some parents now hand over the upbringing and responsibility of raising their children to the schools, the teachers, pastors or imams, and even housemates.
Economic situation of the country has made many parents to abandon their job, looking for money to train their children. However, that is not to say that we should not do our job as parents. We should devote time, give time to our children, okay, to mentor them, to talk to them, and to put them through. Okay, we should devote time. Almost all of us are guilty. Almost all parents in Nigeria of today are guilty of it. Wake up in the morning and come back late in the night. No matter how busy the parents are, you must give space for your children. Because if you don't train them, those children you have neglected will be trained outside and come back to you and becomes burden to you as parent. Then what is the essence of your work, late night, searching for money and the rest? When the children are not doing well, the training they gather and garner in schools is not and that is why you see the difference between a child that is properly trained at home. They are always different from those that are neglected from home. You see, they are always wayward, they smoke, they take all manners of drinks and the rest because they are not exposed to the real ethics, moral ethics from home.
Child nurturing is not just providing care and guidance. It's also about understanding their individual needs and fostering their unique strength.
Parents can guide and we can help by exposing the children to maybe to address gathering like in church, like in mosque, like in public places, like from their childhood. And that will help them to build confidence in them so that by the time they grow, they'll be able to stand tall amongst their peers.
Child nurturing is the bedrock upon which a child's growth and development rests. It encompasses not only meeting the basic physical needs, but also providing emotional support, fostering cognitive development, and nurturing social skills.
It's always good to expose these children to skills, to acquire skills at very early stage because Nigeria and the world in which we are today is very competitive. Go to China and see Japan and see the children, the primary school students, manufacturing this, manufacturing that. See, they were exposed to all these things. You see, when you are exposed at early stage to a particular skill, you grow with it and become a master, become an expert in it. In my primary school in Lagos, you see, every student then were forced to register with one skill or the other. I registered with carpentry, and that really shaped my life till today. There are little things I can do on my own. We are in the age of entrepreneurship now. You see, everybody wants to stand on his own. Well, how many people want to come into ministry, government work, and the rest? You see, your hand will never deceive you.
Parental involvement in child nurturing is a cornerstone of a child's overall well-being. By actively participating in their lives, parents can instill values, provide emotional support, and build strong foundation that will shape their future.
You don't let your children to be too comfortable. If they are too comfortable, then they will not see the essence of life. You deny them of some goodies so that they will learn lessons in life. Many of us that our background were so rough are those of us that are excelling and exceeding in our different fields today. So it has to do with discipline. It has to do with discipline. Once you give them all what they want, all what they need, then what is the essence? Where would they learn the lessons from?
Investing in child nurturing is an investment in the country's future, as it paves the way for a prosperous and sustainable society.
All parents should focus on that moral aspect of education, and they'll teach these students or these children very well before we produce them into the school. You know, the family to me is like a small window where you look through into the society. If that small window is not visible enough, you see, the vision outside there will be blunt, and that is the society, and it will come back home. It's only a fool, a bastard, that will use a left leg or left hand to describe his father's heritage. And how do we know a bastard is somebody who is not properly trained at home?
Collaboration between parents, teachers, and schools is essential for a child's holistic development. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on the total child, the place of nurturing.
The total child requires the input of you and I, and indeed everyone in the community. We established yesterday, especially with our package from Lagos, that no one celebrates an irresponsible child. But when that happens, it means someone somewhere, or some people, some guardians, some parents have failed in their responsibility to raise up a child that everyone can be proud of. We heard from Professor Joe that we can expose our children early on with life skills so they can address people publicly, everywhere, anywhere, so they build confidence and self-esteem. As we go to Ibadan today, we'll get to hear from the Maye of Ibadan land, Lekon Alabi, who says, and has always said, that when the community is involved in raising a child, we have a more holistic child, more well-grounded, and a child that will have self-esteem from the very onset. We're going to Ibadan. Let's see.
Good evening, my dear daughter.
Good evening, sir. I came because of this, my son.
Okay.
He doesn't like anything pertaining to our culture.
A typical African culture lays importance on child upbringing with holistic sense of nurturing a man full of integrity that can stand on his own without depending on anybody.
4 eyes give birth to a child. That is 2 eyes of the father, 2 eyes of the mom. But 1,000 eyes will or groom that child. The meaning is that the child will receive training from home, neighborhood, formal school, skill centers, and the public. A successful parent or family, they are looking and grooming the successors.
You know, when you feed your baby, as you are feeding her with breast milk, he will be looking at you as a mother. you too will be looking at the child. And when it is time for the child to stop, you should be looking at you. You can pamper. Or even talk to the child with body language. You don't have to shout, because children learn from birth.
Training up a child requires 3 institutions: the parents, teachers, and the religious body. The children spend most of their time in school. So the well-trained teacher knows each stage that the children develop. We should believe that these children, they are the future leaders. So they should be equipped with the necessary knowledge so that wherever they get to, they will be able to be self-independent, will know the right thing to do at the right time. And whenever they get to, they will be a good representative of their community.
Self-esteem is key in child development, where parents help to nurture a child physically, emotionally, socially, and intellectually in making a total child who believes in his or her own worth.
When you bring your children from either daycare center or everywhere, take them to kitchen, show them how to wash plates. The way I teach the less privileged in my class, I bring it home. If you want to have peace, you cannot teach them everything. But as long as they are young, right from their youth, you're giving them training. Make sure you visit their schools and their teachers. Some children, they may pretend to be good, but what they do in school environment, if you hear, you won't be happy.
It amounts to the root, the setting from the parents, crying over little things or being afraid of your mates. If you cry home in our own time, you will get beaten twice. Because your father will say, are you something silly or something? You fought outside, you are crying to my house, go back. Go and defend yourself. Or where you see parents pampering their children over the housemaid, the poor housemaid, slapping housemaids when their child complains that the water was cold for them to bath. The parents should admonish their children to be able to care for themselves. From the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, they should teach them to be on their own.
It is pertinent for all parents and concerned bodies to build confidence and self-worth in their children, while also discharging their responsibilities in training their children and wards to become more reliable and better citizens for a greater tomorrow.
All hands can be on deck, working assiduously to groom, to build, to situate that child, and then he or she becomes a total child, according to Oloye Lekon Alabi, the Mayor of Ibadan Land, and Professor Muji. We keep learning because the children are here, whether we recognize that fact or not. As we go to Enugu, we're talking about igniting the spark for learning. Eberechukwu lends her voice. She's an educationist, and she said we can build our children with games because they face a lot of distractions in this modern day time. But it's up to us as adults and as parents and guardians to do the needful. We go to Enugu now.
N-O.
No.
W-E.
Read.
D-O.
Do.
Very good.
What partition? Do that one.
2 times 1. 2 times.
According to a popular saying, curiosity is the fuel that drives one's thirst for knowledge. This is essentially the spark that can ignite a child's love for learning, especially from tender ages. Christina, come and carry this baby. In a world full of distractions like the phone, it is essential to create opportunities for exploration, particularly for children in their formative years.
Yes, there is every need for parents to nurture curiosity in children because everyone is born curious. It's the eagerness to learn new things, to make new discoveries, to figure things out. The major reason why parents should nurture curiosity in their children is to help them develop the skill of learning things easily. Because the easier a child learns things, the more interested the child becomes in learning.
And so, whether it is a board game that requires strategic thinking or a storytelling that sparks imagination, these activities foster a sense of curiosity.
Now you roll the dice. Don't allow the dice to fly through you.
Parents can nurture curiosity through exposing the children to as simple as games, playing games, involving them in simple experiments, or even telling them stories. Games such as the Ludo game sharpens the child's thinking ability. It builds competitive spirit among the children.
The next best thing after ice cream.
A quick interaction with a widower for over 9 years now in implementation of these ideals is evident in the lives of this family.
Books are a very important part of our culture, family culture. I consider myself a product of books. I started reading quite early in life. I became an avid reader quite early, and I saw what that did in my life and how it broadened my horizons. So I got my daughters early to start reading, and they picked up at some point. And then, if you see the books here, they read virtually everything I read, and I don't just make them read, I make them read widely and vastly. So we read everything from religion to politics to literature to history and all that, because I believe in diversity.
I lived in a small village called what?
Storytelling remains a powerful tool in nurturing curiosity. It transports children to new worlds, exposes them to diverse perspectives, and ignites their imagination. Problem-solving skills in children also allow children to experiment with different structures from where they learn through trial and error processes.
Parenting is not just about providing food, it's about taking a healthy interest in the education of your children. It's not a task we leave to teachers alone, no. Teachers are paid to teach your children according to what is in the curriculum. But you see, what is in the curriculum is not enough to make a balanced and wholesome child.
Curiosity ignites a love for learning and creates a learning-rich environment for our children. It is one of the greatest gifts parents can give to their children.
We cannot overemphasize the role of guardians, parents, in fact, all adults around our children. They need to be responsive to the needs of our children at any given time. And that way, we can promote or nip something that is not positive at an early stage. That way, everyone wins. Honorable Isaac Ehigiato is the public affairs analyst, a father, and a husband. He joins us today to continue to address this, the total child.
Yes.
Hello, Honorable.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here in NTA again this morning. Yeah, the topic at hand is very, very, very interesting. And it concerns,
you have children, obviously.
Of course. And it concerns every one of us. And of course, it concerns society. A well-brought-up child is going to be a blessing to the society, because the child will actually spend less than a quarter of his age at home. All the other activities of a child is going to be in the society. So the way and manner the child is built up will affect his manifestations in the society. So today's topic, I particularly am very much interested, because of the vices that we see today, products
in Nigeria, of what happens at the home.
Yes.
Yesterday, when we were talking with Dr. Julie and Mr. Olariwaju, both are educationists,
yes,
or have been at different points in their life, and they've had cause to collaborate with parents and guardians in a bid to ensure holistic manageability of our children. We call them our children.
Yes,
they are
children.
all ours.
Children, yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how you raise your own biological child, they are going to meet every other child out there.
Yeah.
So it's a hands-on experience for everyone. She said that parents are relying so much on the schools to do the bringing up for them, and it's affecting the outcomes of the children, and thereby preventing the ability of a child to be total in outlook. What is your take?
Yes, I cannot agree less with their position. But however, I want to also expand it. In my research, I discovered that the contemporary child, as it were, the time of the molding schedule is segmented into about four quadrants. About 25% of the child's time is spent at home. Another 25% is spent with in the school. Another 25% is spent on the social media. Then, of course, the other 25% is spent with his or her peers.
But in your breakdown and in your research, you said 25, 25, 25. It sounds interesting. What will now come back, when we come back from Sokoto to address is, it can be all parents who are abandoning, right? And where is the place of charity begins at home, because the first years of that child are spent purposefully at home, where the children and guardians and adults in that parent's life have the opportunity to make the best positive impact. But let's go to Sokoto, where children are being taught life skills.
A child has to do with developing a child physically, morally, emotionally, spiritually. I mean, all-round development, making the child whole. And that is done mostly by parents and the community where the child finds himself.
The issue of total child training is a collective responsibility. It has to do with parents, and not only single parent. It is both mother and father.
You have to encourage them right from childhood to be sweeping the home, to help in. After eating, take your place. Don't leave your shoes by the time you come back home. Don't drop your bag. We have to train them on how to do all these minor chores. With that, I think by the time they grow up, things will get easier. They will be easy to manage.
So if you look at child training, we wouldn't say it's a responsibility of school alone. It's something the parents should start at home, because we all know this familiar saying that charity begins at home.
Aisha, she can do tuwo, she can cook indomie, she can cook yam and stew, and she can sweep, she can wash her brother clothes. We grow up doing nothing because we have almost 3 to 4 house help. So they are the one doing cooking, sweeping, and so on. That affected us to the extent that I grow up, I don't even know how to cook. Until I got married at her age, I couldn't. One day I couldn't. I wanted her to be better than me, to learn how to cook at her early age. She is 11 years old now, but she knows how to cook. I'm very happy Aisha knows how to do all things, because as she is doing this, she will continue to her older age. The business I'm doing, I started teaching her how to buy things and sell to get profit.
Because you just have to encourage your wife before she take care of her children. Help her in maybe advising or shouting when they are going astray. It's compulsory to all the responsible father to take his child to the Islamic school.
There is a verse in the Holy Quran. The God Almighty says, "O you who believe, prevent yourselves and your family from the hellfire." You cannot prevent your family from hellfire unless you bring them to Islamic school, where they'll be taught things in Islam, things that are haram, that's forbidden things, and the things that will make them closer to God.
Training at home and training in school, they work intertwinedly. Yes, you cannot have the knowledge of school and not have the one at home. If you are intelligent, but you don't have that home training, I think your intelligence means nothing.
My school doesn't only focus on academics, but it also focuses on discipline. The school training given to me has shown me that I don't need to be caned or flogged before I do what is right.
If someone's father died and he has land, what happens?
All my teachers, they are very amazing. They give us good discipline and they teach us morals and all of that. Apart from that, they always tell us how to associate with people, how to know, how to respect our elders.
The sole purpose of sending a child to a school before now, what we agree is that a child comes to school just to gain knowledge. But over the years, we've seen that there is a whole lot to be learned in school that is not being learned at home. And that has to do with morals, discipline.
It's the responsibility of the parents to train their children, and the society is there to also help, which is in terms of the school and also the religious places that we have there.
The total child is our business today. It's taking center stage, and it is possible to build and nurture a total child, but all hands. Over and over again, we're hearing that, to build the total child psychologically, mentally, education-wise, every-wise, all hands, everyone in the community, the parents, the teachers, relatives, neighbors, everyone must be responsive and interested in building that child. Dr. Halima, father, spoke, and we also saw the children also speak out. Before the break, I was talking with Honorable Isaac Ehigiato, public affairs analyst, and he said it's 25% in 4 parts based on his research. 25% for social media, 25% for the home, yes. 25% for pairs, 25% for who again? The school. For the school. Okay, so where is that hold that we poured the cement, all that work we did early on? Okay. Where does it go just because they are going to school and society?
Okay, let me quickly say this, that there's no adult child. Every child is a child.
Is a child.
From the day the child is born to when the child gets to the university, maybe to 18 or becomes a full-grown adult, he remains a child. So as a result, everything we're talking about today has to do with the way and manner the child is. In fact, thank God for the Montessori system, and all have encroached into the 25% that is actually the parents are supposed to have. So today, a child is just 6 months, it's already going to crèche.
Going to crèche.
Then after that, he or she starts nursery, play group, then pre-nursery, then nursery. So the 25% that is supposed to be for parents is completely taken over by the secular, by school already.
But is there a way to marry it? Because it does seem as though not all children have vices, or not all children are negative, yes, or showing negative practices.
Yes.
Some children are good.
Very, very good.
And they use social media,
let me also say this. It depends on what we look at, we see as vices. Some children can be very, very successful academically. They can be very successful in the way and manner they compose themselves. But however, there has been some character traits that you will see that will shock you. I say, is it child? Like, for example, I just made a mention of the sense of entitlement, for example. In those days when we were coming up, before we take anything or before anything we receive anything, we see it as our daddy is doing something.
He's helping us.
Exactly.
We show appreciation.
Exactly. But these days, you give
children
a child,
feel entitled.
Exactly.
You owe me.
You owe me. You should do this.
Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back. We'll come back to that because it's our opinion or our hope that not all children are bad.
Yeah, of course. No. Our children are not bad.
Very few.
Very
the fraction.
Few.
We have many good children out there.
Yes.
We'll take a break. Keep your messages coming in. You're watching Weekend Deal, the total child and the place of nurturing. Weekend Deal. It's Weekend Deal. We have been talking since yesterday about the total child and the place of nurturing. And guess whose responsibility it is to nurture? Is all of ours. That's why, as we have visited different parts of the country, we have heard research scientists, professors, traditional rulers say that we must go back to the way we used to do it in the past. When I was talking with the Honorable Isaac Ehigiato, he said it may not be possible to go back to the way we used to do it. But let's introduce our next guest, perhaps as she lends her voice to the conversation, Dr. Marian Jumei Bello Yassin. She's the founder, Hamizak Montessori Academy, Ako Estate, Abuja, the founder of Passionate Heart Empowerment Foundation. Hadia, it's great to have you on Weekend Deal.
Thank you
And I know you have raised many children.
It's going to be nice, and we're going to trash the issue
Indeed.
very well. And I'm
Indeed.
sure Nigerians will be happy that we have mothers.
Indeed.
Not just a mother, but mothers.
Mothers,
Yes.
good. Honorable, you're talking about the separation of powers, 25%, 25 to 4 parts, and the incursion that so much inroad is being made into the area where parents
are supposed
to make
dominate.
their impact.
Yes,
okay,
exactly,
good.
yes.
Hajia is here now. Hajia, come on board very quickly. 25% affirmation, Honorable Isaac says, it's been shared according to his research. 25% for the home, 25% for the school, 25% pairs. Of course, pairs come with peer pressure, and then social media. And he says, I was asking him just before the break that is all social media bad? And he kept mentioning the word vices. Vices. We have many good children in Nigeria, don't we?
Of course.
But share your experience.
Yeah, it's not about the social media that is bad. I think we parents have relented in our effort to put in our weight very well. We push the whole thing to the school. We push the whole thing to the society. We push them out to even the social media, because parents, the background matters. Even if you are building a house, if the background is solid, definitely your house is going to be solid. But if the background is not shabby, it can fall. So the area where parents must come in is that they will complement the teachers, the school complement what the parents have already set up. Not that you push everything to the school and expect the school to do wonders. Their peers too. It all depends on what they see at home that they discuss in the school. They discuss with their friends, and the environment, even the society, influence them the more.
Okay.
So definitely, we mothers, we are the homemakers. This job is solely on us, but not alone. Okay. We need the support of our husbands. Okay. When we are training our children, we should not be said, you are too harsh on these children. Why are you doing this? Support us if you know it's a genuine training we are giving them.
We were meant to go to school at the age of 6. Those early morals, how to kneel down to greet, how to appreciate, how to greet in your local dialect, how to learn your language, local dialect, everything. You were made to learn all of them in the first 6 years of your age. You learn all of those things, even your religious practices. If you are a Muslim, how to wake up early in the morning and pray. If you are a Christian, how to go to church, how to recite the Bible, memory verses, everything. It's done within that first 6 years. But unfortunately, the 6 years has been taken away.
Okay.
The first 6 years of the child have been taken away.
Will you allow Hajia respond to that? Hajia,
yes.
The assignments you are giving the children are too much.
It's not about that. Let me tell you, the new system of education, that is Montessori, has inculcated everything. The home, everything a child should. There's a complete way of education.
Yes.
So definitely, even about agric, about how you morals, about how you comfort yourself, the way you observe protocol outside.
Everything is there. No, he said it's too much. Are the children taking home too many assignments? Now, our children have assignments
loaded
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then the deload is on Friday. If they were doing 4-4 on Friday, they would bring 10 home. That is what he's saying. Are they taking home too much assignments? Is it really infringing on the time that parents should relax with their children?
Yeah. But what is happening now is that when you give your child, the children assignment to do, we even give them projects to execute. So when we give them assignment to do, it is what they are taught in the class that is being given as a practical for them to practicalize it, so that by the time the child comes back, they will say the previous lesson will be revisited before it has been marked.
Yes.
To know whether they do it themselves or the parent assisted them.
Yes.
So it's not that they overburden them. Every teacher that taught them want to know what he taught yesterday, whether the child is able to assimilate it, whether the child understood it before he can move into the next topic.
Yes. Okay.
So this is what is being
in continuation of our conversation, we will go to Port Harcourt. When we come back, we'll continue. In Port Harcourt, we're going to now learn how children, how we're inculcating skills in them, which will enable them to start and finish chores. We know we even have adults who are good starters. they take off very fast. Yeah. But once they start, some of them lose interest. And it began from when they were young, perhaps because they were not taught to start, to continue, and to complete. But let's go to Port Harcourt. Perhaps we'll throw more light on this. We will return. We'll continue the conversation. Port Harcourt, take it from here.
In a world driven by innovation and rapid change, unlocking imagination and nurturing creativity in our children becomes a crucial endeavor.
Then come and step on the red color on the maps. 1, start! 1, 6.
When you look at the back, it is already covered. When it's facing just like it was. The lower parts, you're gonna flip it this way and then bend it this way. Going to make that same point. It's the same thing that will happen to this side. So my choice is here. The right hand side across. Window. Well, this is my finished work on this, and I'm so happy that I'm able to make this on my own.
Children are the leaders of tomorrow. Give them good education. Children are the leaders of tomorrow.
These creative, imaginative qualities not only enhance their cognitive development, but also equip them with the skills needed to navigate an ever-evolving future.
Creative activities would help the children to work together, meaning that they do things with one another, and so they understand the need to take turns, they understand the need to wait, they understand the need to work with others. It builds interpersonal relationship. Creative activities would also provide an environment of exploration that will spark curiosity, and this is where critical thinking comes into play.
In what ways can parents explore the fascinating world of childhood creativity and nurture the boundless imagination of their little ones?
Creativity and imagination is the hub on which human endeavors thrive. And for parents to do that, first they need to be available. Availability of parents at the onset of their children's life is very critical and important.
Exposure to nature's beauty is another wellspring of inspiration that sparks curiosity, observation, and imagination in our little ones. To unleash children's imagination and creativity, parents must limit digital engagement and encourage real-world interaction with their children.
Exposing our children to books, reading with them, talking things over with them, having discussions, you'll be able to identify areas that you could help these young ones.
Just time to bond with these children, and you will end up seeing one or two things that could be a pointer in the right direction, showing you exactly where your children have their creative strength and ability.
To develop a total child, here is what experts say.
You have to get them some items like paints, their poster color, their plasticine, clay dough, and papers and the rest, pencils and anything, then encourage them.
Parents also need to expose their children to technology-rich environments where the children can also explore, because these children are digital natives and the world of technology is their natural environment right now.
Remember, every child is a unique artist waiting to paint the canvas of their imagination. So, allow them to design a masterpiece that will inspire generations to come.
Every child is a unique child. We must give them some level of leeway, not to leave them. We allow them some leeway to design their canvas and create their masterpiece. Honorable Isaac Ehigiato, give them some leeway to create their masterpiece on canvas, because every child is unique.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And how would that enable us build that total child?
I was actually felt the way we have to even define what who is the tutor child, as it were. Then, of course, we look at it from the video perspective. What does the European see in a child as a child is a tutor child? Then, of course, in the African context too, then even in Nigeria context, who is the tutor? For me, I want to look at it holistically. First and foremost, a child that should be able to know about where or she comes from. A child that is able to stand morally. A child that is able to stand psychologically. As early as 8 or 9 primary school, when the national anthem is being sung, whether you are coming to the assembly or you stand at attention,
anywhere you
because you were taught that you are first in Nigeria before you salute your country, national flag, you salute it with so in all of it. We should begin to push our narrative from just emphasizing on the way and manner the child is raised up educationally. Okay. All right? Because we are not getting the...
Let Hajia take it from here.
I want to quickly say this. Okay. You see, today, some of the children that are being caught in vices, like armed robbery, ritual, yahoo, they all sound educated. Educated, not because there are no jobs, but because they do not appreciate the fact that what is yours is yours. What is not yours is yours. What is not yours is not yours. And of course, that there's a process to achieving a particular goal. And that of a truth that you do not just wake up one day and begin to amass wealth to yourself. Okay. A young boy of 1920 is already having 3 or 4 mansions. Okay. Right. So in all of this, one builds a good adult is the way and manner what we teach them at that early age of a year.
Okay, let Hajia come in here. Hajia, you've heard the Honorable Isaac Higiato. Let's take it from there. You know, how can we now, education is important. We want first class, we want second class upper, but how do we marry that alongside what makes us uniquely Nigerian and building a total child from all perspectives that are positive, using the platform of the school system? Yeah,
in some parents, when they bring their children to the school, they don't even want anybody, any of the teachers or anybody to talk to them, as in to scold them. Number one, in a culture, in Nigeria, we should appreciate our culture, appreciate where you come from, the origin. Your child should be able to speak your dialect, should be able to greet you in your dialect. When a child wakes up, you should inculcate the spiritual life into him. Let him know that he needs to read his Bible or read his Quran, and then kneel down. After he has spoken to his God, he will now come to the parents and greet them. Then he gets ready to school and does whatever it is necessary. When he gets to school, the school should also make sure that culture is imbibed.
Hold that thought. We also are thinking in line with what you're saying, and we have a future get towards that. Perhaps we'll listen to it and align with it and then come back and continue our conversation. Susan has been taking a very close look at building skills in our children, deliberately with the aim of directing them to become that total child, emphasizing the place of early nurturing. Susan, share what you found.
In today's fast-paced world, problem-solving skills are more important than ever. They hold the key to unlocking a child's potential and preparing them for the challenges of the future.
You have smart children. You have children that solve problems. You have children that will pick up a phone, open it, know what it's about, fix it, and tell you what to do about it. You have children that are bold, which may come out to be as if they are forward sometimes. Because a lot of old school parents will say, children of these days can't talk. This is why they are like that. They think 2 steps ahead and they want to experience it their own way.
Problem-solving skills involve the ability to identify, analyze, and solve problems in a creative and logical manner. They empower children to think critically, make informed decisions, and overcome obstacles.
These games, for me, why I will allow my children to always engage in these games is You know, we have the quantitative knowledge and the qualitative knowledge. And the games puts them through some critical thinking process because you are faced with an opponent, and this opponent is also aiming to win. So you also want to win. And in playing this game, you have to be tactical, you have to be strategic, and your ability to win the game improves your critical thinking skill. It also improves your problem solving skills. That's the thing about game. And it has a way of also bringing about team spirits.
At times, we parents, we used to neglect things like building blocks or home-based games, not knowing that we are creating awareness and building the skills of children through these games. For example, I often buy them. At first, I was like, I didn't want to buy these games. But when I started buying, I discovered that my children, they learn counting. They learn colors. They became so aware about their colors. At the end of each game, after the little fight and argument they have, they will hug themselves when everything ends up well.
Fortunately, problem-solving skills can be nurtured and developed in children from an early age.
Children need to think for themselves. We don't need to train them like robots. Like you said, while we were growing, we did mostly route learning. They tell you, this is a boy, this is a boy. But children of these days will ask you, why is this a boy? Maybe in the picture, the shirt is pink. And one child might feel, that looks like a girl. So a teacher of today who has to prove to that child why the picture is showing a boy. You say, okay, yes, maybe it's because the boy is putting on pink, or maybe the shirt is looking somehow. Well, what do you think? You ask another child. This way, you tap their brains.
Activities like puzzles, games, and group projects provide valuable opportunities for children to develop their problem-solving skills.
There's something like a wheelbarrow that you know. In those days, we build our own with wood, and we use it to push. But recently I noticed most families, they don't encourage children, which is not good. Go to China, Japan, and all these places. You see, most of the things we use today was done in the classroom. Sometimes when you see your kids doing something that is good, maybe artwork, maybe drawing, maybe something, there's some that like electric. Sometimes you see them with screwdriver or these things. Watch that child. See where that child is going and encourage the child.
So, let's encourage our children to develop their problem-solving skills by providing them with the tools they need to thrive in an ever-changing world. Together, we can unlock their potential and prepare them for a brighter future.
It's up to us to stabilize and situate our children alongside the school, working harmoniously, collaborating effectively to build that total child. Hajia, building problem-solving skills, helping them to start, continue, complete tasks.
Yeah, acquisition of skill is very essential now. And that is what Montessori Academy is all about. Because when you acquire skill, you are sure of the future. Mostly, our learning goes hand in hand with developing their skill. If you are in the school, by the time we identify your talent, we tailor it towards and we talk to your parents as a counselor. Please, this child will be good for construction. Then the parents should support us whenever the child brings in some toys or all these building blocks. They should support him in making sure that he actualizes that dream. Indeed. Then if a child is good in hairdressing, maybe architect, because parents will just say, I want my child to be lawyer. I want my child to be a doctor. I want this engineer. It's not the best. Allow him, because the brain has been tailored towards something with the hand.
He or she has something that they are passionate about.
All of us came to this world with a talent. And once we are allowed to develop our talent, we are good to go.
Okay, Honorable.
And that is how we become self-reliant in life.
Honorable,
Yes.
you know, in our time, we went to school and our parents expected us to get jobs. Thankfully, some of us have been blessed with jobs which we're holding on to. But nowadays, we find that perhaps the younger people want to be entrepreneurs. They have skills like that. But many people are saying doctor, engineer, barrister, architect, okay? Are they thinking more of the creative, budding passion of our young children?
Well, very, very quickly, let me first appreciate our educationists, among us, particularly Abuja, and those who are doing beautiful jobs in the contemporary world, building modern. Our kids are doing very fantastically.
Yeah.
But that does not take away the road. But however, I want to also appeal now to those who are designing this curriculum, and also let it be tailored through the African way and the Nigerian way. For example, the arts of bronze making, carving, and other crafts, not just locally crafts now, they can actually be developed. The children can be tutored not just in the traditional way only, but in a modernized way. Yeah. You can actually
blend.
You can actually export bronze heads and export even clothes and all the rest, even pottery. So in all of it, it's a kind of redirecting, because even in acquiring these skills from that environment, morals are also built on the child, and built in the child. I mean, and the way the child looks at the society. So, of the truth, I owe the society something to contribute my quota. Okay. Right? Instead of always demanding for what the society will always do. No, initially I said the level of self-entitlement or entitlement should be reversed in a way that the way and manner we treat our children.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's teach them to give back, not just to expect.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back. We want to take a detour, which is still in the course of building that total child. You know, physical exercise, eating healthy is also key. If a child is brilliant and has not developed how to prepare a healthy cuisine, understand what it takes to make him or her healthy, they are still at a loss. We don't have the total build-up of that child. As we go to Lagos now, there's some emphasis being created in that direction. Yeah. Healthy living habits as a part of building that total child, our total child. Lagos, take it from here.
Physical activities in the life of every child is essential for their growth and development. In Lagos metropolis, most schools do not have enough room for children to be able to engage in these activities.
It helps them in improvement in their cardiovascular activities. It also helps in reduction of obesity, because at this age, a lot of kids eat a lot of sugary thing and a lot of daily dairy products. So it helps in them in reducing. It also increases their analytical capacity and learning prowess.
Not only does exercise help in brain get ready to learn, but it actually improves alertness, attention, and motivation.
In the past, we used to have schools with enough room for physical activities. What has changed?
You can see management of space. Nigerians and sports centers are very few. But thank God to the Lagos state government equally, who have started developing some community sports centers to encourage schools like this to be able to use. So it's also a good benefit. You can't compare what we had in the 70s, 80s, and what we're having now. With the kids now are having more secluded lifestyle. While back then, comparability, we had spaces to run around the streets and go. These days, with the security situations, kids are being caged. That was what I'll call it. But be it as it may, most parents that also understand sports take their kids to sports centers.
With economic realities hitting hard on parents who strive to provide the basic needs for their children and wards, even at the home front, observation shows that children are deprived of these activities owing to the fact that they are left in the hands of domestic staff.
in a community, for instance, there should be a land map out or field map out for physical exercise for these children. Physical exercise is something that parents, societies, governments should not overlook.
Sports is life. It's not only being a hobby, it should be a lifestyle activity. There's much benefit in sports. It's not only about fitness. It helps one to travel out to see things and see how things is being done all over the world. There's lots and lots of benefit in sports. Only that we in this part of the world, Nigeria in quotes, we are being limited to sports activities due to the environment on which we find ourselves in. But nevertheless, we don't have to say no to sports.
What should be the required appropriate age activity for a child?
Knowing that children are full of energy, we advise, like in tennis and other sports, from the age of 3, kids can have kinetic movements that will help in their analysis of bodybuilding and mind blowing.
For toddlers, all you actually need is to provide a spacious area where they can move around and you're sure that they are safe. For older children, dancing is a very good physical activity for them. So both for emotional, psychological and physical well-being, dancing should be encouraged in children. And then other exercises like cycling, bicycles, things that they can do outside.
The benefits of physical activities in the life of a child are enormous, ranging from improving a child's thinking ability, reduction in depression in children, to prevention of diseases. Hence, the need for government and individuals at all levels of society to create an enabling environment for children to have fun.
And it's time to wrap up our conversation on Weekend Deal today. We have been talking about the total child and the place of nurturing. Yesterday, Dr. Julie Onoviamo mentioned that the collaboration between the parents and the school must continue to work harmoniously so it can be effective. Also, Lariwaju Osho says fathers must be present. It's not enough to have a biological child. You must be present in their upbringing. It makes a lot of difference. Dr. Yasin, she owns schools. She has raised children. In fact, she's a grandmother. She just shared with us that her granddaughter graduated yesterday, so she's been doing it for a number of years. She says kitchen is not just for the ladies. Boys must learn to cook, do house chores. It builds them to be more responsible and responsive. What about Honorable Isaac Ehigiato? He says, let's go back to the days of literary debating societies. Let's teach our children to garden. And once in a while, they can take brisk walks. Don't use the car every time when you're spending time with your children and your family. And what about you? Are you a parent yet? Or are you a child? Have you been watching us? It is important to know that you too choose to do the right thing every time. And for the young adults in our society, everyone has a role to play in raising the total child. We all must work together to build stronger and more independent children who will be a pride not just to Nigeria or to the African continent, but to the world. God indeed bless Nigeria.